Hello, all. Thanks for joining us today on MVS. Right now, it's me, Scorch, and Brendog. We might have someone else joining us talk later, not sure. But for right now, it's just us two. So, yeah. If you have any questions for us or anything, you can post in, I guess, the Agora works. First topic we're going to start off with, probably one of the larger happenings in the last month, the general elections for TNP that elected Gladio, re-elected Sawale, Darcania, and Goyanis. So, yeah, it was a close election for delegate and vice delegate. Really came down the wire. What did you think? You have any thoughts on it, Brendog, right at the moment?
It was definitely one of the largest turnout elections as well.
Oh, I think it might have been the largest
The
turnout.
largest, yes.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I mean, getting over 100 voters is pretty crazy. I think there's a total of, I think it was 160 something of people who citizens who could vote. And I mean, to have over 100 show up I think it's pretty good. I wouldn't know
Pretty good.
what the highest percentages of turnout is, but that's pretty good.
So we saw a good old easy win for the AG and Speaker, which
hmm
I think was pretty standard, and we thought that that would happen due to the candidates we saw. For the delegate and vice delegate, it was very interesting, and I would probably say that the most interesting election was actually the vice delegate.
Yeah, that really came down to the wire. It almost had a runoff there. It was pretty crazy. I mean, it happened too often. I think as long as I've been here, I can't bring. I mean, I haven't been here that long, but off the top of my head, I can't really think of a runoff that happened. So it was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I had
And
a
it was
runoff.
especially interesting because there were some people who voted for Bootsy, at the end. That was interesting too, because it wasn't just two candidates, even though two candidates were the ones that were close. Bootsy was still in there. I mean, I think he said in his thread that he wasn't going for the position anymore, but you can't take yourself out of the race when it's already started, unless you lose citizenship, in which the whole race restarts. So, yeah, and
It's
then
also very interesting that AG had the largest number of abstains of 23.
yeah, I wasn't too surprised by that. Goy was in office for how long before that election? Like maybe a
Like
month,
one
I
month,
think.
two
Yeah,
months?
and what was the other guy? Huat? No, he's been here for a little bit, but I don't think he was very active for a little while. And did think he had some experience, but I think that one was a slightly harder decision for voters than the speaker one, which was it was Clean Land who actually ended up voting for Dark. So I guess that conceding the election right there if you just vote for your vote for your opponent. And so I mean he had 98, if I remember correctly, votes for him. That's a lot of votes.
Considering basically Clean Land didn't post our campaign thread.
Yeah.
And we get to one of the big ones, the vice delegate.
Yeah, it was a very close election. I mean, it was pretty crazy going head to head. At the end, getting some votes through. I think once they realized it was going to be so close, get votes however you can. Whether you get DMing people, PMing people, recruit. Any kind of thing.
It was like last minute.
It was a good election. And delegate.
It's a bit.
I think it's a hard topic to touch, and I'm extremely excited for this next term. I'm happy Gladio won. He's been here for a long time. I think he will do a great job. But
Was kind of
it
tainted,
was,
right?
yeah, I don't know, but just the way certain things ended, just it's too bad. It really was. I don't even know what happened, to be honest. I the full story, so.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
I can't really talk a whole lot about it again because I don't know what happened, and I'm not going to try to make claims on something I have not barely anything about, and I don't
But
feel that's really fair to anyone involved.
the only thing I would say is I feel like that during the first half, like the first 2-3 days, votes were
hmm
very consistent. Like
hmm
on all sides, both the vice delegacy and the delegacy, to like they were very even. Then
Yeah,
stuff happened, and then yeah.
I'm sure some, if not most of you, already know some of the situation. There's a thread posted by the admins on the forum for anyone who doesn't, if they are interested in seeing some of what happened, if they can go through that thread and see what they want. So
I can't. We know what happened. I think all of you guys know what happened, but like I don't know the full story, so I'm not going to comment on that.
yeah, you can. It's in the forum operations part of the sub forum. All right, now obviously Gladio won and made some cabinet appointments. So one of them, how many of them are in this channel? Brendog, Cash, Macedonia, Malfi. So we got 4 of them in this channel. That's a pretty good number right there. 4 out of 6. So yeah, none of them surprised me. Honestly, you guys are all very qualified for the position. Oh wait, Macedonia isn't one anymore. Never mind. What am I talking about? It's Brendog, Cash, and Malfi. Yeah, there we go. Brendog, you've done a ton of stuff in HA, so that wasn't surprising. You've been good at it.
Yeah, I've been doing like been deputy minister of HA for 2 terms before.
Yeah, you've been deputy for a while. Cash, he started this whole program right here. He started MVS. He got
the
first
revival.
up in his term. So I mean, what else? I mean, it's pretty solid. And then Malfi didn't surprise me at all. I'm not involved that much with defense, but in the raids, when I was involved, oh, it's Maul. I'm so sorry, Maul. I apologize if I said it wrong.
Mouth.
Maul. Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize for that. I thought all the positions were solid, and maybe Malfa knows. Were there deputy ministers of defense before? Because I'm trying to remember if Gladio ever had any. I can't remember. Brenda, you're part of the NPA, right?
I don't think so. Like I think,
Yeah.
and maybe first term, maybe, but I don't know
I don't remember that.
because I wasn't there. I was not there first term, so I have no clue.
Yeah.
I know like the last 3 terms, definitely no.
But all of them have gotten to, but I think they're all doing the best they can with their current situation. I mean, you posted a recruitment list within the first, I don't know, couple days. Hello, Dark.
Hello, Doc.
Sorry for being late. I almost got into a car accident because somebody doesn't know what a stop sign means.
Oh my goodness, are you all right?
Yeah, I just had to suddenly not turn left. Didn't need to.
Glad you're okay, but glad you made it. Right now we were discussing. You missed the election segment. We were talking about all the election stuff. How you got crazy 98 votes, but since it's you, it's not all that crazy. But now we're on to cabinet appointments. We were just discussing Gladio's cabinet appointments.
Well, first of all, congratulations to Brendog, Keish, and Mouth, who are currently in the voice chat, who are all 3 cabinet members. And then congratulations to Palath, Artemis, Deropia. Yeah.
We talked about defense, so we're probably up to. We also talked about Cash, our Minister of Communications, and so we'll talk about Mr.
If we trash talk Keish, are we fired?
No, I don't think so. You could probably.
I'd rather try to keep my job and try not to be fired.
It's not the Ministry of Communications. It's actually the Ministry of Truth.
All right, then. I like that.
So let's go on to our previous delegate, Mr. Paley.
Palace, yeah. Well, I know, he said he wanted to do some more stuff with, foreign affairs. He did an interview the Friday, and then he said that his most difficult task was getting FA done, and having the ministry the way he wanted it. And I don't think it ended up that way. So he likes being able to feel that he finished that work in a way,
Yeah, based on his appointment to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the first guess is Gladio ascribes to his principle of optimistic diplomacy.
Yeah,
Go read that as well in the Agora.
Here's hoping that continues. It's a pretty nice policy. I never expected that we'd be having any sort of positive relations with the Pacific.
I think there's always room to improve, and I think yeah, he seemed to do it. He worked with them in a couple of events, and a lot of people didn't think that would happen. I think it's there's always new people coming into the game, and you know, moving up and doing stuff. So I mean, I don't know that any region, there's always going to be people here who have been here for a while, but I don't think any region really stays too stagnant. I always think there are going to be new people willing to do new things, and maybe even old people doing new things. I mean, who knows? Just people change.
Can I also say that I'm still not used to Paliev's name being orange? Still not. I still can't say it.
Yeah, it has been that delegate shade for a while.
I'm gonna be blue no matter what position I go to from now on. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Not even the overseer changes your color.
I rule over you all.
Yeah, you can. I remember when I think
Yeah, Raven
did that at one time. So
yeah.
Before you can change your whatever it displays on Discord, like your role display. Before you could change before you can change what order you are on Discord, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, you can, but I'd rather not have the administrator color under the other colors, because the order also determines specific role specific permissions.
all right, Dark and Brendog. I know we haven't covered all the appointments yet, but we're discussing Paleth. So just gonna do a little question about his term. What ministry were you most impressed with during his 2 terms as delegate?
Not biased at all.
I couldn't hear you because you swallowed your microphone.
I did.
I'm not being biased at all, but I'm not.
Brendog's the one who swallowed his microphone.
Okay, yeah. Which one did you say, Brendog?
I'm totally not being biased. Totally not saying Ministry of Communications.
I mean, seven articles in 2 terms is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, me and Scorch.
One of those months was December when holidays were going on.
Yeah, that's a hard month to get stuff done in any ministry.
I think they all did really well. I'm also impressed with the Ministry of Defense. Like, officers in the Ministry of Defense have been a lot more active lately, and
I did notice that there were a lot of, I looked on people's signatures. I'm like, wow, there's another officer. There's another officer.
Yeah, and we've been having so many ops now. We're at this point there's a large pool of people to choose from for Minister of Defense. Whereas before it was pretty much just Gladio.
Yeah. Well, that's a good.
Going back to Pale's first term, Gladio trying not to be Minister of Defense, that didn't end well for a couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, Sasson and I gave it our best shots, but we couldn't reach Gladio's standards. But here's hoping Malf. I don't think it's hard to match Gladio's standards because it's Gladio, but I think Malf would do really well still.
Yeah, I mean, those are yeah, no pressure.
Most notably, Malf is the first Minister of Defense for a really long while now with a Deputy Minister of Defense.
We were just talking about that before. We asked if there had been one, because I was pretty sure that Gladio didn't have one.
Minister of Defense for a really long while now. The closest there was a Chief of Staff. Yeah, and that's not really an official deputyship. That's just helping. It's weird, but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Lozinek and his deputy ministership.
Yeah, because I've seen on Gladio's signature it says he was Deputy Minister of Defense at one time, but
yeah, but that was a really long while back. I think back when Elu was still in gameplay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know. It's just crazy. So, but yeah, there were I mean, I think a lot of ministries did really well. Going back to the original question, I think culture. I mean, Silly String in the first term, doing all the holidays, getting out the pocket constitution, all that stuff. That was awesome. And then McMacedonia setting up the friendship fair and doing
No,
all that
no.
again.
MCM did awful. Never mind the fact that he can kick you.
Okay.
I personally like. It's weird to me seeing culture divided up into multiple groups like that, but it seems to have been pretty effective so far. So
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. It's like it's interesting to see like culture having like doing a lot more culture stuff instead of being instead of actually being like instead of being in the background, kind of manage like kind of doing like role play stuff and
when did culture do roleplay stuff? Back during Syrixia's term, don't you remember, Georgie? Doing so well. But like, the roleplay convention, for example, that was combined with culture and the RP. Like, that's the important thing about culture and the RP mods. Like, they're kind of like on an equal level.
Mhm.
Like, they have to work together and both know that, like, it's strictly speaking the RP mods domain, but it would be kind of stupid for the RP mods to not take advantage of like the infrastructure and stuff that culture has to help run RP events like the convention.
Yeah. Mhm.
And like the Ministry of Culture worked with the Security Council to have that TNP for #1 event, which was a staggering success, and
Oh, yeah.
hopefully that will be run again.
Well, are we still #1? Don't we have to not be #1 to do TNP for #1?
Oh no, we lost #1 like
2 weeks
a day
after.
afterwards.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or a day after.
Wow.
It was like
So yeah.
really fast that we lost it, but like we got up there, and the important thing is like that really increased endorsement saturation. So
Yeah.
like we did fulfill our goal, and it did have good lasting effects. It's just that we need to run it. We need to keep running it every so often in order for us to keep up near the top there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm sure there's other people campaign too.
Speaking of, I have endorsed everybody in the region now at this point, I think, because I decided to try out endo tarting again. And
Oh, I love that button.
yeah, you're welcome. I added that in because, well, first it was just an extension for me to just make it easier for me to endorse, and then people were like, "What is that button? I want it," and so I just added it to the page.
So easy, not just right clicking everything. It's like, oh god.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
now you can just click on this giant button and it'll open up the next nation in a new tab. Also, it does it in random order just to confuse people.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm just like, what?
I mostly did that just so my activity feed would be kind of confusing, but when I copied it over, I didn't bother to replace that, so it's just kind of yep. It just chooses the next one at random. It's funny.
I haven't tried that. I haven't used it yet.
That's part of the reason why I put in a warning of like, hey, if you close this, you're gonna lose all your progress, and the page won't update for a day, and you will have no idea who you endorsed. So best to just leave it open in the background.
Or I accidentally closed it. I did like 3 windows, so I'll be fine.
And also, like, sometimes you can accidentally, like, Control W is closing the tab in Chrome at least, and like you don't want to accidentally double tap W there and just close all your progress as well.
Yeah, that wouldn't be
It
good.
also stops that alert if you have no nations left. Anyway, that's enough about my amazing accomplishments. We should probably go back to talking about Palaith or Gladio.
Okay.
I have many accomplishments, yes, but the topic isn't all about me today, at least.
Yeah, not today. Maybe a different broadcast. Well, all right. So, do we want to go back to the current appointments? Because I don't think we got to all of them. I don't think we talked about Dorothea yet.
I don't think we talked about all of them yet. No. Well, first off, Dorothea, obvious choice, probably the best person after Sil Dorset or Palaith himself.
Mm-hmm.
and I have no doubt that he'll do excellently within the Ministry of World Assembly Affairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Um,
I agree with you completely. I mean,
Already it's running really well. Like there's even in the executive WA affairs channel, there people are like being friendly with each other and while also talking about resolutions and also shit posting about resolutions that are bad.
ran for AG in that special election shortly after coming into the region. I think I don't know how long before they come, but
He was a
I mean,
good candidate. I'm really sad he didn't get more votes.
he actually was.
I think that was actually his only vote, to be honest.
He impressed a lot of people. I mean, I was impressed, but I was like, wow, this.
Yeah,
This guy is
knows his
pretty
stuff.
new, and he actually knows a lot of what he seems to know what
he
he's
has a
talking.
great legal mind, which is good for both the AG's office and the Ministry of World Assembly Affairs.
Yeah,
So
and
it's great.
WA Affairs.
Conveniently enough, he is in both.
The Ministry of WA Affairs is going to continue the activity and the IFEs and all the things they've been doing these past terms. So
also, no pressure.
yeah, no pressure. Have we got
what about Keish? What about that dude?
What about Case?
That's yuck.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
To be fair, we have our first NBS broadcast already.
Yes, we do.
So, points for him there. No deputy ministers. Deputy ministers are not exactly established in law thing. It's just kind of tradition. He doesn't have deputy ministers, like strictly speaking. He just has people who are in charge of various branches, and it's like they're pretty much deputies, but like they don't really have to be. So it's like why make them be deputies?
Let's not make them deputies.
And if you're in communications, if you've seen the planning thread for the first issue, I mean, it's pretty sure there may be one article that hasn't been claimed yet. It was claimed very fast, and we have McMasterdonia. Owen
Articles
Stacy
are now.
It's Owen Stacy and McMasterdonia.
All the articles are now claimed by the minister himself.
Yeah, we don't really need a staff because I mean he can just do them all by himself. He has these. I'm pretty sure he has. He took at least 3 articles my term.
Oh, no, what he did
fingers.
is he slowly took 3 articles.
He'd be like one day, he's like, "Oh, I'll take this one." Next day, all right. Well, no one's claimed this one. I'll take this one too. Next day, well, I'll take this one too. How about that? Oh, jeez, man. I mean, why don't you just take all of them? I'm sure you could do it.
Typing.
Yeah.
All right, I write and you guys edit, okay? Oh, no one's editing? I guess I'll just do that too.
Yeah, seriously.
But, I don't know much about like the T&L part of communications because I'm mostly just NBS because talking is a lot easier for me than typing. Mm-hmm. Because I just pick it up as I go along, and that's harder to do with an official newspaper.
Yeah.
But so I haven't seen like how active communications has been, but I have no doubt that it'll still be like plenty active. Like we have a pretty good momentum going in communications, pretty good staff and all that stuff.
Even, I mean, you can just see by us being able to do this broadcast this early in the term, just shows how effective communications. I think it'll continue this whole term and hopefully into the next term after that, and just keep going.
Maybe we can get 12 issues out. Wonder if we can.
An issue a week. That would be dope. And also like difficult.
Extremely difficult.
How would you even fill that out with everything?
No, you fill it out with RP stuff, okay?
And then also
WA stuff.
It's mostly just RP stuff and just puns. That's it, just puns. And then maybe every few issues, if something happens, maybe we'll put in a note about that, like at the bottom as a footnote. It'll be a shorter newspaper. Instead of like 4 pages, it'll be like 1 page. So it's more pamphlet than.
Yep.
Speaking of, there's a monthly memoirs thread in the Agora on the forums. People should reply to that when they can.
Yes, definitely.
The more
check
people
that out.
reply, the better that article will be. So
you'll be in TNL.
Yes, you will be inside our regional newspaper. Hold on, let me link to it. It's a monthly memoirs thread. It's where the Minister of Communications just asks questions to the
And you
people.
answer them. It's a survey. Let's be honest. It's
Well, it's
basically a survey.
it's usually just Cash. It's not always the minister. I'm pretty sure
Yeah, but
Cash.
let's be fair. Like Case is just
Cash.
like he just does everything in communication.
It's not even the minister, because I basically didn't touch monthly memoirs when I was minister, and Kesh just did it. So it's not even it's not the minister. It's just Kesh doing it.
Cash. Yeah. It's always,
Case is always the real Minister of Communications. In my heart. Sorry, Brendog.
he is.
He is.
He was. He was. Honestly, during my term, I did the least amount of work. I'm telling you, it was besides the first issue. I scheduled the first issue. Brendog did the other three, and Case did pretty much wrote half the articles, did monthly memoirs and all that. And so I maybe did a code here or there, but that was it. It was I was there to just watch and make sure nothing blew up.
I mean, that's your job as minister.
Pretty much.
Just let other people do the work. Just delegate it down further, and then just make sure nothing blows up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into culture. Oh,
Artemis.
yeah.
Probably not as known or been around as long in this region, but she has been very successful in the Kingdom of Alexandria, and I have no doubt she'll continue that success here as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And she and MCM know each other very well, so I have no doubt MCM will help out as necessary. And she's also keeping the staff from MCM's term. So we'll see how she takes care of that.
I think.
Is Artemis not a she?
I don't think so.
I have no clue.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't know. I've only. It doesn't matter now. It doesn't.
Time will tell.
The elf, okay, the elf.
Plemmy's. The elf scum.
Yes, the elf scum. I can't tell if dwarves are better or not,
Oh,
but it's a
dang.
low standard to meet. Yeah, dwarves are better, but they're a lot more gamey when as a dragon, I can say that they're a lot more gamey when you kill and eat them. Yeah, I can say that as a dragon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're a lot tougher to chew through.
Moving on. Who have we not covered? I think we covered everybody.
No, we
got-
forgot Palath.
No, we did him.
I mean, we
I'm not
kind of
sure if
covered
you would
him
hear or
already,
not. But
Why not?
I mean, our talking of his delicacy kind of transitioned into our talking of his Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Because we are easily distracted here.
We are easily distracted
Mhm.
here. Very distracted.
I mean, you know, as we said, the optimistic diplomacy thing. We'll see how that continues. I look forward to seeing what other regions we start opening up to more.
Yeah, it should be
interesting. Very interesting time.
very interesting. I think he'll run it well. Obviously, I mean, I think his terms as delegate show that I think he can run a ministry pretty well.
I mean, he already ran the Ministry of World Assembly Affairs very well.
Yes, he did.
Palace is just one of those people that's good in any office you put him in.
Pretty much.
Like, he was a great speaker. I'm still struggling to meet the standards he met after he left to the delegacy.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty hard standard to meet. Let's be fair here. The pressure's on.
It is on. All right, who else did we not? Did we cover everyone? I think so. Oh, where is he doing? Oh,
I tried scrolling down, and instead, I was a pixel off and joined a different voice channel.
That happened to me earlier. It's alright.
all right. Well, I actually will be heading out now. If Brendog and Dark want to continue, they can go for as long as you or they want, but I'm heading out, so thanks for joining us.
Well, I mean, we'll probably still going, but thank you for joining us for this podcast.
All right, see you.
See ya. All right, now that Scorch is done, we can continue with the vocal shit posting. Have we talked about? I mean, we talked about the elections, but have we talked about like the different, like we talked about the elections in general, and also Gladio and his people. Have we talked about the other three people elected?
Yes, we have actually.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Do we have any other topics you'd like to cover, Brendog or Keish? Impacts of a Gladio delegacy. I'm gonna let Brendog go first on that.
It's gonna be interesting seeing how he gives us the ministers how much freedom compared to Palliath. Be interested to see what he does during his term as well.
Well, what do you think about any long-term impacts he might have?
Foreign affairs, obviously, under Palliath.
Yeah, with Palliath, that will probably be a pretty long-term impact. I mean, Palliath already did long-term impacts in foreign affairs as the delegate. I mean, he set up the Ministry of Defense during his term to kind of try and work on having it succeed with less of his involvement directly. So, we'll see how Mouth does in that, and we'll see how Mouth and Lazinak how they lead the ministry, and if they do anything. Like, there's already the deputy ministership, but we'll see if they take the under new hands if the Ministry of Defense goes in new directions.
And I think the same with World Assembly Affairs.
Yeah.
See how that changes, if it does at all.
I mean, pretty much most of the appointments were pretty much all pretty like, yeah, this is the person that would go in this slot. And like Mouth, I did expect to take the Ministry of Defense when I did expect that, because Mouth is pretty much like the most active and the most knowledgeable officer.
I do agree with you.
Yeah, besides myself, of course, but I couldn't be Minister of Defense. Not to say anything bad about Mouth. No, I'm just kidding. Mouth has definitely been a lot more active than me, and I think Mouth will probably do a lot better than Sasson and I have done. So I am really looking forward to how the Ministry of Defense, any long-term changes the Ministry of Defense will have under new leadership, since Gladio held it for so long and Sasson and I weren't around long enough to have any major changes to it. I mean, Keish back in communications. I mean, Keish is probably the most effective Minister of Communications we've had for a while. Scorch and Brendog, no offense to you, you're great, but I think Keish will probably do really, like, that's just, he deserves the job, really, because he already does a whole bunch. Other than that, I think that's pretty much the major long-term impacts of Gladio delegacy. But with any delegate, they always have one or two major crises that you don't really expect ahead of time, and it's like, for example, the growth for Palliath, like the growth of RMBRP, and just the crisis of diplomacy between the two parts of the community that happened due to, like, for example, Praetor stirring stuff up on the RB side and stuff like that. But I think he handled it really well. The RP people helped out, admins helped out as they could. Really, just everyone tried to help out, and we ended up getting So it's like the unforeseen things like that that really define a delegate's term, I think. That's what I think.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
agree with that.
that's what really shows how what a long-term impact or how good of a delegate that person is. So we'll see what happens with that. I think we covered that. I think we covered the impacts of Gladio delegacy really well. So let's move on to the next topic. Do we expect this growth in citizenry participation in elections and a growth in general activity to continue? What do you believe caused the spike in citizenry participation / activity?
I think it's just a general cycle of NS. Like, around this time starts growing again. Like we see in the population numbers from like 7K to 8K, nearly 9K.
I mean, I think the fact that citizens, like, not to self-plug myself, but also like Sawale, like the two of us have been doing really well with keeping on top of citizenship applications and getting people to join into citizenship, like at a historically like just the fastest rate ever. There has been no better time to apply for citizenship unless you're St. George. And the elections, like, there were two very close races for both delegate and vice delegate, like the two most important jobs in the region, like at least visibly game side. I know that much. I mean, they're all the elected positions are very important, but like delegate and vice delegate are both like very important. And
they keep going.
And like they're definitely the most public and active in terms of their jobs and what they do. And since both of them had extremely close races, I believe it kept flip-flopping between Gladio and Lord Ravenclaw before Raven left, and also like Sawale won, prevented a run by a single vote.
Just. Yeah, and it was like pretty much the same throughout most of the race until like the last day. Basically, it was basically even.
Yeah, and I also think like the election supervisors, COE and Scorch, I think what also might have helped improve turnout was they sent out a telegram to all nations and to all the citizens, like game side, and that's not something that we always do. Like, it's actually it's been a while since we've really actively done that, and I'd really like.
And then for my poll, I'm looking, it was like 2/3 of citizens voted.
Yeah, like that is amazing.
We can definitely do better because it was like at least half the people didn't know. Now, the poll was coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could like. I guess another thing that could help improve participation is like let people know ahead of time, hey, there's these elections that are going to be happening in like say a month, you know.
Yeah,
so
I
like
tried
be
doing
around
that
at that time.
Yeah, I tried doing that with the press releases, but I think that it kind of worked. But it was like
so many like digests and releases nowadays that it's like, you know, there's the RA digest, there's the Home Affairs press releases, all that stuff. It's like
WA, IVF.
it's just kind of overwhelming. I think that's what I think. And like TNL, like not the newspaper, but the Nation has so many dispatches. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's got like so much. I'm just like, oh god.
Yeah, we actually have a group with like a whole bunch of people from a whole bunch of different offices, like a group here on Discord discussing like how can we better consolidate our different releases and make it so that we can it's not that it's like we unify them, it's more like how can we make it so that more people get notified and more people read it, more people are engaged and interested, without sending out so much that people just kind of stop reading them.
They get it's like all the same thing, and then they'll get bored of
basically
reading the same.
And like the Northern Light is like its own major thing. Like that's the regional newspaper that's distributed to the different regions. I have no doubt that'll continue to be its own thing, but also like internal dispatches, I like you just can't. There's just so many of them that it's just we need to consolidate them. So here's hoping that that group of a whole bunch of different offices working together on that will try and figure out a solution to that. Let's see.
Let's see, what else can we add to this?
I mean, we're at 50 minutes now. Should the last 10... Yalkin's not around, but maybe for the last 10 minutes we can do a Dear Darcania or a Dear Brendog.
Yeah, let's do both. Let's just both steal. Then send your request about anything about Australia to me, or Darcania will answer anything else. Clearly answering Australian-only questions.
As we all know, America is the entire rest of the world, so I'll be handling those, even though I have no idea what I'm talking about in terms of Britain. But, you know, no one cares about Britain.
Oh, the birds. Oh, please, I hate... Okay, I'll tell you...
Normal thing in Australia, too, the birds.
The magpies. Yes,
Yeah.
those about those. Basically, what was I doing? I cannot remember what I was doing, but I was walking down to the local park or running or doing something, and then like two magpies just swooped down on me, and I'm just like, I'm getting the hell out of here. So I literally ran nearly 1K because like I'm like, because I know the magpies were like, now I know the magpies only have like a distance of like not about 100 meters, but like back then I was like 9 or 10, so I didn't know. I just literally ran home, like a kilometer home, because it's like, and I'm just like, no, I hate magpies for the rest of my life. I'm not like, I'm not a magpie tree ever again.
In answer to St. George, I think the answer is a bit out of left field here. I know they didn't officially enter, but obviously the Sark football team. They'll win Football League One. What, no more questions? You people are boring. We need a better audience. We need to improve the audience participation rate.
Joking. We can't substitute Jokin, unfortunately.
I think I'm more entertaining than Yolkin, okay? It's just that people are scared because I have a scary dragon. That's what's going on.
Might be a big issue. We need to fluffify it.
I am a fluffy dragon, but sometimes people just, they can't see past the sharp fangs and claws and stuff like that to see the soft fluff. I know St. George, for example, is just a major Drago racist. For reference, George's name is currently St. George.
Do a good old Australian fact. Do not go into the... One reason is everyone hates spiders. They won't kill you. No one likes... Second thing, kangaroo. Why would you ever want to see a kangaroo? Boring. Kangaroos just like hop around and do nothing. Like you'll never see them eat. Never will. Thirdly, snakes. Why would you ever want to see a snake? Like you don't want to live there. So you just... And then fourth of all, you don't want to die. Because even those, none of those can kill you. The one thing that can kill you are dingoes. So just don't live in the center. That is my advice.
Georgie, I think you're underestimating the power of the underdog. I think they'll have a swift come from behind victory. That's like just it's obvious. Like, have you seen the movies? I mean,
This is-
yeah, they got it. They're good.
And then, second of all, this is why we have a long fence to protect us from dying from the pest of middle of Australia, aka the dingo fence. If we didn't have that fence, like literally, Australia would be uninhabitable.
Wow. You know, you're kind of reminding me of Donald Trump there. If we didn't have the fence, if we didn't have the wall. West New
It
Zealand.
protects. It literally protects its. West New Zealand. It literally protects the good old sheep and the cows and the rest of the population from goddamn dingoes.
Would Tanzania be Southwest New Zealand? Would Indonesia be North New Zealand?
No, no,
These are
no.
the real questions.
The real question is New Zealand should name itself West Australia. No, sorry, East Australia.
Jesus Christ, man, get your directions right.
I was
Plus,
confused. That's
New Zealand isn't real, okay? There are so many maps that just don't have New Zealand on them, so just obviously New Zealand isn't real.
It's
Like
not real
Finland also isn't real.
because it's part of Australia. Everyone knows that. Like it's in the Australian Constitution. Nation.
No, like New Zealand just flat out does not appear in most world maps.
They
Well,
forget.
not most, like a lot of really shitty world maps just do not have New Zealand. You know, George, I think that's worthwhile to try.
No, what you've got to do is you've got to get some flat earthers, and then they'll remove America instead of Australia, and it's perfect.
Just switch Australia and America on the map. Put New
Yeah.
Zealand up there too, because New Zealand is part of Australia.
Done. And then the flat earthers can remove America instead of Australia.
Actually,
And
maybe
I'm
we
happy.
should switch Australia and America, and also switch Hawaii with New Zealand. There you go.
Oh, that's perfect. But what
Now
about
everybody will forget Hawaii exists,
And then we
and
can
then
switch.
Yukira won't get mad at all.
And then we can choose Tasmania with US Virgin Islands.
No, man. We took Hawaii fair and square. Okay, it's ours. Well, it doesn't look like we're getting more questions for Ask Dark or Ask Bren. So this has been the Northern Broadcasting Service. I think that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us.